Today, on Be Something Wonderful, how my new story created my desired reality immediately. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. Here we are broadcasting from Ninh Binh, Vietnam, and I have a really powerful session to share with you that I had this morning with a client that I first talked to in December. And he said, Tom, I wanted to wait till it really clicked. And he said, then it clicked. And he even references one of the videos on the channel and a comment that one of our subscribers made, I think it was Sonia, on that video. And we're going to cover that today. But essentially it clicked to him, with him, that his story, his new story, that becomes his life experience immediately, is consciousness, is reality in that moment. He really embraced this idea that the story you're telling yourself is your entire life experience. It's consciousness, it's awareness of being. It must be reality in the telling of it, in the claiming of it. And we're not talking about necessarily talking about your story to others or broadcasting it by speaking about it. We're talking about the inner reality. We're talking about the inner talking. We're talking about the inner story that you're telling yourself in each moment. So I really want to hit this. He said, Tom, it's so simple. I moved into my new story that I am married to my SP. This is an SP story, but again, he says it's so much bigger than my SP now. I just want to, we're going to start off talking about his SP or a specific person, but he even made a point to say it's just so much bigger than this. So that he's married to his SP, and she called that night. Called that night. As soon as he moved into that new story, immediate results. 3D reality coalesced around that new story. 3D reality rearranged itself. Reality rearranged itself around his new story. He said, it really clicked for me after watching your video move from manifesting limbo to your wish fulfilled. And that comment from Sonia that she made, the first comment under it. We're going to hit both of those today. I'm going to leave a link to that video, and I even talk about Sonia's comment here. His realization is, my new story is reality. This is really such in tune with what we've been talking about the last 2 weeks. It really all is now coming together, right? That we're looking for it to be more complicated than just our awareness of being. Just an awareness of who we are, because that creates reality in that moment, right? My new story is reality. Immediately, instantly, in that very moment, that is your reality, right? You assume that new story. 3D reality begins to rearrange itself to yield to the new identity and version of yourself. It begins immediately. Remember, your entire life experience are what you're thinking, feeling, assuming about yourself in this very moment. That's your entire life experience. That's your story, right? And I know some of you ask, well, what if someone asked me about whether me and my SP are together or whether we are actually married? Remember, what you tell them doesn't create reality. The actions don't create reality. It's the belief and the assumption behind it. So if you're just answering them, and you could just answer them, everything is great, everything is good, everything's very good, because it is. That's why God said, and when God created heaven and earth and said it's good and it's very good, right? You could answer like that. Or if you feel inclined to answer them, it doesn't matter. You know that reality is created within. There's only the truth of you in that inner reality. Everything else, when you look outward, and let people's questions and let the conditions and let the effects determine your story, now that creates your reality, right? Instead of looking out there for your story, create it within. Then out there will reflect that story, right? Your new story is reality immediately, instantly, in that very moment. You assume the new story. 3D reality begins to rearrange itself to yield to that new identity and version of yourself. Your entire life experience, really this is said well by Genevieve Davis in her magic books. Your entire life experience is a story you're telling yourself. Your inner talking, your inner speech, your assumption of your experience as consciousness in every moment. It's your assumptions, your experience of reality is consciousness, is awareness of being, right? And what are you aware of? What story are you telling? And we're not talking about necessarily words that are actually physically coming out of your mouth. That's not even what Scripture was referring to, right? When they talk about words, it's that inner word. It's that inner thought, right? God doesn't talk in words. God talks in energy. God talks in vibration. God talks in feeling and in consciousness, right? That's what we're talking about. And of course, words can matter and can help, but it's the belief and assumption behind those words, right? So words can magnify your state of being, can magnify your assumptions and your beliefs. But it's behind it. It's the assumption beliefs behind it. There's no out there. Your story isn't out there. It's within. Your story's not out there. So it doesn't matter what you do or even what you say. It's the story that you're telling yourself within that matters, right? This BSLW subscriber talked about Sonia's comment, the first comment under that video, which I left the link below. All life experience is in consciousness. Therefore, the moment you declare your new story, you're already experiencing your manifestation. And she is right. The moment you declare it, the moment you assume it, the moment you move to it, it's that you're experiencing that inner manifestation of your story. That is your entire life experience. Doesn't matter what 3D is showing you. It doesn't matter what others are asking you. Remember, they're only reflecting your assumption within. So if someone's asking you about your SP, that's you asking yourself. What's your answer? It's done. That inner creation is done. That's what you moved into, that assumption. You are with your SP. It's finished. Right? It's created within, and that's all that matters, right? You're not manifesting anything. You're announcing reality with your story and assumption. This is really the conclusion that this client came to. This really is based on what we've talked about now for almost 2 weeks. That you're not manifesting anything. You're announcing reality with your story. You're announcing reality with your beliefs. You're announcing reality with your assumption, right? That's what we're talking about here. This BSW, so what essentially, he stopped looking out there at 3D and telling that story. That story is that's an effect. You're just telling the story about dead thoughts, about dead effects, right? When I moved into my new story, I immediately began seeing the world from fulfillment. This is his story now, right? He immediately began seeing from fulfillment, but why is that a massive realization? And we've talked about this over the last few days. The massive realization is that we are always seeing the world from fulfillment. Do you hear this? We are fulfilled. We're always seeing it from fulfillment, but our perception becomes clouded by the story of non-fulfillment, by the story of trying to get fulfilled, by the story of trying to manifest something out there. We tell that story, that I'm in process, that I'm on the journey, that I'm working on it, that I'm seeing signs, that I'm getting closer. Instead of telling the story that you're there, that you're fulfilled, and I'm seeing that new reality right now, and I know that 3D reality must coalesce, must rearrange itself around that story. That's what he got. So what if my friends or family ask me, well, what about the 3D evidence to the contrary? It doesn't matter. It matters what you believe within. Right? And so you don't even have to ignore it or run from those questions. Just say it's all good. It's all very good. Right? And it's not about those actions or answers. It's about what you believe, your conviction, your truth within. That's all of reality. That's your entire life experience, right? Everyone else is effects. Everyone else are extras in your film. You are the star of your life script, of your film role, of your alternative or parallel reality that you're living out. None of those temporary forms above matter. The reality and the only thing that's real is within. What you say or do doesn't create reality. It's the word within in your interaction that only ever matters. Hear that? That's what Scripture meant by the word. It's the word within. It's that creative power within. It's that creative movement within. It's that interaction that matters, because it's the interaction, the word within, that create the outer action in the word without. Right? My new story manifested contact with my SP immediately, or in other words, created my reality immediately. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, thank you. Thank you for being with the channel. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for liking the videos and sharing them. We have a Facebook group called the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors. You can find us there at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful. We also have an Instagram and Twitter accounts at Tom Kearin, or just go to our website anytime at tomkearin.com or besomethingwonderful.com. Creators, with great love, with great light and infinite gratitude, until next time, we'll see you soon.